Good evening. I want to talk a little bit today about what I believe to be one of the best framings possible for us to have about life, which is to see it as an exploration. What I mean by this is that we have this great sense and this great drive to seek novelty, and that can hinder us in many ways in modern society because we may always want to buy new stuff, consume new types of content, listen to new music, and that can be very distracting, and thus it can hinder our efforts or be problematic in our efforts to do whatever it is that we plan to do with our lives. But as with any drive that we have, we can try to fight it, and sometimes we may need to. But I think that whenever we are presented with this type of situation where we have something steering us towards a certain path, we need to try and understand the mechanism which is doing that and see how we can use it in a helpful way in order to achieve our goals. And as it pertains this drive to seek novelty, I think that the lesson we can get from it is that the best way to face any type of challenge is to see it as if it is something that we are exploring. So, if we're trying to learn a new subject, it's kind of clear as new pieces of information are new things, but that is also the case in many other scenarios. Like if we are trying to learn how to dance, we are exploring not only the world and the landscape in which we are dancing, but we are also exploring the movements of our own body. So it is both an external and a form of internal exploration. If we are working, it may be something that may seem tedious or too routine-like, but we may be able to try and see new ways to do something and automate another piece. And if we see that as a problem, that will just annoy us. But if we see as a challenge, as something that can show us a new perspective on that old thing that we're doing, I think it can be helpful. And instead of being something that will drain our energy, it can instead turn into something that gives us energy. And I know you may be saying that it's easy to talk about exploration and receiving energy when you are in a paradise-like scenario. But I do believe that this same sense of wonder that can drive you to be always putting a step forward when you're doing some hiking or going through a new area can also be present whenever we are doing something more mundane. Of course, maybe not to the same degree, but still to a helpful degree. At least if we are willing to try and see it that way. So, in essence, what I'm trying to get at is that whenever you're faced with a problem, try and look to whatever it is that you can learn or new perspectives and new ways of dealing with whatever it is that you're doing. Because if you feel that the way you're doing it right now is too bothersome and it makes you tired and is possibly leading you to a burnout, you may need rest, but I think above all else, you need a new perspective. even if that perspective is that doing the thing that you're doing is not good for you and you need to find something else to do with your life. But always seeking a new perspective is probably the only way that you will truly be engaged in a way that doesn't make you feel drained. So if you think that you're near a burnout and that you need to rest, sure, that may be true, but resting is only a temporary solution. Developing a new way to explore and deal with the tasks that you have to deal with, that is the only way to solve it long term. And so, to end this video, I will let you enjoy this landscape a little bit.